Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video, we are looking at Uranium Energy. It is time for another update, and it seems we have broken our very small time frame support levels. Yeah, we had here a potential 1-2 setup we were tracking for continuation of this movement to the upside. Now, don't get me wrong, it is still technically possible. We are still holding this as a larger setup, but it's not a high probability structure as we have already fulfilled the minimum expectations of this entire movement to the upside, right? Now, the small time frame, it's not looking very favorable, and we will bring up soon all the reasons, all the thinking behind this expectation, this pattern we are tracking here. But before, I want to go quickly through the larger time frame for any of you who might be new. So here we have basically a series of 1-2 setups we have been tracking, and we were looking most recently to build here another wave 1 to the upside. Now, this is of course within one of the interpretations that would expect a wave 3 to be forming in a relatively direct fashion, but at the same time mind the blue scenario, which expects this to have been a much larger wave 1 to the upside, and we would now look for a wave 2 correction that would expect to get at least into the $4.3 level. So we have been highlighting that this movement to the upside would have been the more likely structure. We even provided very relevant levels of support across this entire pattern. We actually provided like 12 or something like that trade setups, with the most significant ones being here before this entire push to the upside. And here, when we identified a more likely top to be in place, we had a very relevant area of support that we regarded as an accumulation area, and we expected another 3-wave pattern to be built here. So now that all of this is complete, we no longer require any extensions. We can of course get them within either blue or white scenario, but within neither of them is it necessary. So right now we are looking for a wave 2 correction in the expected scenarios that would be at least down to $10.8. Now, I cannot promise you it will stop there. I cannot promise you it will reverse. I'm not here to predict the future. I'm here to outline probabilities and valuable levels to watch. And if you value having these roadmaps and these levels, I would recommend to subscribe, as we are going to continue to track this chart very closely. We are going to continue to provide relevant levels of support on various timeframes and the expectations we find more likely depending on the actual data we have here on this chart. Yeah, we are tracking the market sentiment by applying the Elliott Wave theory, and we assess which outcome is more probable. We assess when we have good odds, good probabilities of continuing in a trend. Yeah, we identify that as well. And when we have a full count and we should expect a large correction, which seems to be the case here, right? Now, nonetheless, we have been tracking possible continuation to higher prices. An extension is possible within any pattern, yes? And in this case, I am watching the idea of an ABC structure against $11.6. Now, we have already outlined this is not necessarily a likely interpretation. It's literally an extension of a full pattern. It is welcome to appear, it is welcome to form, but until we get an initial 5-wave move to the upside within a wave 1 of this larger wave C in green, we don't really have an edge on this. Yeah, all we could consider is a risk-reward ratio that is favorable, since we are deep within the area of support, where we know if we get a sustained break below the 78.6% retracement, it would likely fail. We would likely look for the wave 2 correction in white to form, at the very least, if not something even more bearish. Now, in this structure, we have been looking for this wave B to build a 3-wave pattern, yes? Unless we build such a structure, we would be rather inclined to believe we would continue to even lower prices. And with a first look, we may consider that, yes, this can be considered a 3-wave pattern. It could be something like this, it could be something like this, and yes, but if we actually zoom in, if we actually go into a smaller time frame in this structure, we can notice that it seems rather incomplete. And we had some ideas of how this could unfold to much lower prices here in this orange interpretation. Now, for this wave 2 in orange, I would have rather expected a much larger correction, yeah, larger than what we had internally in the corrections in this movement to the downside, which doesn't seem to be the case, so I don't consider this to be a likely outcome. Now, of course, this can still happen, this can still be an outcome, but I wouldn't focus on this, which is why I won't keep this scenario on the chart, because I do not see a full structure in this movement anymore. I actually prefer direct continuation to lower prices within a smaller time frame within most interpretations. It's not a guarantee that it will happen, it's not a must, but it's what I find more likely. So let's focus on that. Here I am looking at a couple of options. Either I have this as a larger A, B, C structure, in which case it's not looking too good, is it? We have a wave 1 down within the wave C and we have a wave 2 up. Well, this would imply we would expect much further drops within a wave 3, and then still the pattern would look for continuation to lower prices after a correction in wave 4 in a wave 5. Yeah, this implies we wouldn't hold the green area of support by any means, and unfortunately, well, this isn't the prettiest structure by any means, right? It's not a good looking scenario, a good looking pattern, but at the same time, I don't really have a different structure that would be suggesting reversal with improved odds any higher. Sure, we still have structural support as well at the 78.6% retracement along these mathematical levels. We have here this swing low from which point this entire uptrend has been generated, which can be expected to offer us a more substantial relief rally, but at the same time, within this structure, it is very difficult to actually identify a full count, right? If I wanted to, I could look even for a WXY structure in this area. Yeah, a wave B can build such a structure, but then I would still be missing a wave 4 and a wave 5 from this structure to be a more clearly complete wave C. A wave C must always be a 5-wave pattern. So here I would need something like a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Well, sure, this could actually play out while still holding the area of support, but it's not a particularly high probability structure now, is it? Now, the fact that this structure would become much more bearish wasn't going to be a surprise to us if we were to break our internal levels of support. That's why in the previous video we provided this internal area of support, this wave 2 correction idea down to $12.8, where we knew below this level we would likely see a different interpretation occur, an extension of this movement to the downside, and possibly within some quite bearish interpretations. That is why we always actually provide these levels of support. And now that this has happened, it's not that I cannot still track a full pattern, right? I could, for example, consider the wave A to have bottomed here, consider the wave B to have topped here, and in such a scenario, I would have a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. This is not an ideal structure because the wave 4 would have been quite smaller compared to the wave 2. Now, it's certainly a scenario that could allow a direct reversal to higher prices, but what I want you to take away from this is that the count is not as important. We will have a mainframe count to track, but what we want to see is evidence. We want to see levels of support, levels of resistance broken that indicate one more interpretation is more likely than the other. And if we will be able to identify an initial 5-wave structure in one direction, we will be able to identify a high probability support or resistance zone to allow for trend continuation after a correction, because those do generally tend to set a trend, at least within its time frame, at least for the first 3 waves. So what I want to focus on is not really the count of how this structure could extend lower, of how we could have a full count where we wouldn't need any further lows. What I want to track, what I want to focus on is here within the smaller time frame to see if we manage to only keep a 3-wave pattern in place, or if we manage to generate an entire 5-wave structure. And for this, I will be tracking a main area of resistance where the wave 2 would have topped here, and this would have been an A, B, C structure within a wave 3. I have to say there is a good chance even this movement to the downside alone would be able to extend, but the area of resistance would still be lower than what we can provide for this idea. So even if we break that one, we wouldn't have the strongest possible indication that a breakout would be more likely to occur, that this structure isn't going to build a 5-wave pattern eventually, which is why I want to focus on $13.6. I want to see a break above it for an indication that this structure has a possible bottom, that this could actually work out as a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5 within a wave C. And if we form additional lows, we will have to reassess this structure. Overall, if we are to track within such a small time frame, of course, developments happen very, very fast. But if we are to focus on the larger perspective, you still have the $11.6 level, from which point we want to see a reversal, yes? We do not want a sustained break. Now, a short dip below this last level of support, below $11.6 would be no issue. In fact, we even have additional structural support here at $11.4 and $11.3 basically. And this could still allow a relief rally to emerge even if we do not see the reversal. Now, I want to do a recap through this chart because it's definitely within a difficult pattern to bring everyone on the same page. So this chart has already offered us so much. It has generated a very nice movement to the upside we have been tracking all along, even before it actually started, even as it was still within this correction. We had an area of support that anyone who would have used it would have been able to capture this entire movement to the upside. We identified within a smaller time frame a few higher value areas of support in this structure and even a few smaller time frame support zones, one of which signaled to us that an impulse had failed to create within this structure, which was actually very valuable. Even if it did fail, it provided us a very early signal of what type of pattern we should really be tracking. It helped us a ton in following up in this movement to the upside, and we had yet another great opportunity within this wave 4. I would feel ungrateful to complain of getting a failure of extensions to higher prices currently, because it has delivered exactly what it has been set to. It has delivered a 5-wave pattern within basically flawless corrections, similar proportions in the wave 2 and the wave 4. We didn't get, of course, the last leg to the upside we would have liked. We might have had the truncation here. Now, I wouldn't overthink that. And even now, it actually still provides us the clarity that a full count, a full pattern is available, and that the larger wave 2 correction would be able to occur. Now, whether this is within one scenario or the other, I cannot tell you at this point, which is why I recommend that you track this along with us, because we will be looking for every sign that a reversal is occurring. We will be here looking for the initial 5-wave move to the upside, and when that is in place, we will provide another high probability trade setup. Now, I do not guarantee any gains. I do not even provide financial advice here, but we have delivered over and over on this chart specifically. Now, if we identify, even within a wave C in green, an initial 5-wave move to the upside, that would be a wave 1, I will be looking for a trade setup. But as it stands right now, I do not see this support zone as a trade setup, right? This support zone down to $11.6 can offer a reversal. We can see a reversal from that area, but it's really towards the end of a more substantial trend we can identify. We can even look here on the RSI. We can notice that we have a divergence, which is typically expected within such a wave 5. Higher high on the price chart, lower high on the RSI. Nothing out of the ordinary with this pattern having a full structure. And for now, these are the levels. This is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and if you enjoy our content and want to support us, check out our channel membership. And as a thank you for any of these actions, I would like to invite you to sign up to our channel newsletter, where you get access to our monthly top picks, where we identify for you high quality structures. The link for sign up is in the description, and it is completely free. Other than that, let me know what else you would like me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.